Chaser. This is episode 26. This is an in-person episode. We have our good friend Youssef over here. Youssef works as a frontline worker. If you could tell us a little bit about your job and then like what your daily activities on the job are as well.
Sure. So I currently work as a COVID tester at it's a mass testing site in Revere. I actually just got hired today, thankfully enough, as a vaccination assistant as well. Pretty much. I mean, I'm administering COVID tests. That's the bulk of my job. Like, I just get there. I set up the site. It's a drive-through site, so like we just set up like cones and stuff for the cars to just drive on through, tables and all that. People like will drive through. We live in Mass, so like you kind of expect people to be dicks. It is what it is. And yeah, we just do that until 8 and then pack it all up and leave.
Well, the work that you do is crucial. And, like, on behalf of the podcast, we want to thank you for what you do because it's a grind every day out there at those testing sites. And I do where is the location of the site?
So I work in Revere, which is actually just Revere High.
Okay.
What is it? It's in like the back of the school, but there's like stop this spread like mass testing sites everywhere. There's like 4, I think, in Boston. There's 2 in Revere alone. Like there's 1 in Chelsea, just everywhere.
Absolutely, that's awesome.
I actually, so how do they protect the employees there? Like, do you feel safe while you're working?
Yeah. Well, they gave us the opportunity to get the vaccine, which is really cool.
Yeah.
What is it? It's actually like that definitely makes me feel a whole lot more safe. Tons of PPE, of course, as well. Like, I got the N95s. They're actually pretty strict about people, like much more strict about it at this current job than they were at the urgent care, which is kind of surprising to me.
Yeah.
But like, for example, like they will not let us test until we have this exact outfit on.
Okay.
We need to have like, what is it? They have to do the gown, of course, an N95, but then you need to have a surgical mask over it. Like, you can't just have an N95. You need to have 2. You need to either have a face shield or goggles. Like you need to.
Okay.
Is the face shield? Quick question: is the face shield like the plastic, like clear covering over the face, kind of like glasses almost, but it comes down over the face?
Yeah. Like it's just like the typical like the one you'd imagine. Like what is it? And what is it? Okay. And this is a weird thing. So we they don't want us touching things, so we wear like a small pair of gloves and like a larger pair of gloves over it, and then like we're just like pretty much just like going through most of the shift with just like a small pair of gloves on.
Wow.
Yeah. Damn.
That
must be a workout.
That's awesome. So for testing, what is the normal test procedure? Is there like a baggie that you put the swabs in afterwards, or can you walk us through exactly what a normal test looks like on site?
Yeah, sure. So I can give it to you from the perspective of someone just rolling into the testing site.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm driving through the site. I get stopped by the first person. There's a couple of cops there to keep people in check, make sure nobody's driving like an idiot. Sorry, not to off on a tangent, but a lot of people do not know how to drive when there's cones clearly marking where you should go, and it's just sad. But okay, that's not the point. So yeah. So we do stops, give them the registration paper. Here in Mass, they don't make anyone pay to get a test, which is perks of living in Mass, I guess. But
yeah.
It's actually sick because in New Hampshire you have to go and pay $175 for a test, and here we don't even collect insurance, nothing. Literally, awesome. We just have them write their name, date of birth, address, phone, pretty much the stuff that what's it called, sorry, I'm blanking on it for a second. But they the government agency for the Department of Health and Human Services. Sorry about that. Yeah, so pretty much all the stuff that they require from us to collect from the patient, in case they were positive. So
I think they partnered with private companies because. So I actually got one of those free tests. Mm-hmm. It was at Whittier Health, but it's clearly government funded and the testing site. Yeah. It's actually pretty efficient. I'm impressed.
Yeah, dude. You would
not do a good job.
Yo, you wouldn't believe it, bro. Literally, each test, for example, okay, so I currently work for Fallon, right?
Yeah.
Each test that they administer gets them $280.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And for every single test, it's an extra $200. So for example, what is it? Lately, as you probably, if anyone's following testing, testing has dropped off tons lately. No one's really testing anymore. But we still have a ton of employees on. They can afford to sustain that, and they can afford to still turn a profit and still be a business and sustain everything, just because of the fact that the state is paying them so much money per test.
That's awesome.
Damn. Wow.
Yeah, so I know you've mentioned that you worked in urgent care before. You want to talk a little bit about like how that experience was before your current job?
Sure. Yeah. So actually, that was my first healthcare job. I kind of like dove into it a little bit because they say like when you first get into healthcare, like you shouldn't work in like an ER or an urgent care setting. I mean, well, I don't know if they say that, but I'm gonna say that. I mean, it's kind of like I took a CNA course, so like I was trained in like vitals, like giving like not like phlebotomy, but like administering vaccines, like just like basic patient care. And then I went to the urgent care, and then like people would be asking me all of this crazy stuff, and like what is it? Thankfully enough, like the law says that like I can't get medical advice since I'm not like a doctor or provider or anything.
Oh, okay.
But like yeah, dude, it was literally like people treated me like I was like a 25-year-old guy with like 2 kids, like this is my career. Like it was kind of an eye opener for me. I mean, like obviously like I don't understand that like working a medical job is like serious, but
yeah, for sure.
I like what is it? Because my first job was $16 an hour contract, pretty much. Well, not a contract. It was like a temp to hire like thing. Like yeah, so I just didn't like I expected it to be like an experience, but like not such an eye-opening experience as it was. And you really never like gain as much perspective. Like, you don't gain that perspective until you work in like an urgent care or ER setting, because like that's when you're gonna see people at their worst. Like for example, like at the testing site, literally our whole purpose is testing. So like it's not like they're coming for us or like real medical care. They're just coming to get a test.
Mm-hmm.
At the urgent care, like they're coming for real medical care. So like when I'm taking their vitals and like their heart rate is like 120/90, and like you have to like call the ambulance on them, or like when people like what is it? This like the lady literally the first, oh my god, we open at 8 a.m. right, and like I don't fully wake up until like 11 a.m. but we open at 8 a.m. The first fucking sorry. Am I allowed to throw this shot?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Everyone asks that. Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah,
do it.
That's like the first fucking lady that comes in is like some like addict, bro. She's like, she came in like she's like faking an allergic reaction, and like being that I had like very minimal like medical experience. Like I was like, and like what is it? Like my only medical experience like, was during COVID. So like we had to like really limit who was coming into the urgent care.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, hang tight 1 second. I'm gonna find out like what we need to do. She's like, what do you mean? I'm having an allergic reaction. Like I need to come in there right now. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, just go. Like just do whatever you need to do. And then like not 15 minutes later, bro, she comes out screaming, like crying, like having a whole fucking hissy fit. And then she looks at me and she's like, that doctor is a bitch. Like screams that at me, like as she's like walking out. Cause like my station is like right by the door, right? And like I don't like, what am I supposed to say to that? So like and like when she like screamed it at me, like I happened to have my back turned towards her, like cleaning like my mask off or something, my face shield off or something. I just like didn't even like look, didn't even like acknowledge it, like kind of just like pretend like she wasn't there. Like, what the fuck do I say to this addict, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I didn't even know what was happening. I thought she was just like a Karen who was like pissed that she didn't get her meds.
Her opium.
Yeah, no, literally. Then what is it? Then the doctor told me after, she's like, oh, like, did you hear that like screaming lady? I was like, yeah, she's screaming in my ear. She's like, yeah, drug addict. I don't know, it's like stuff like that. It's pretty eye opening.
And then I also want to mention, so you got the vaccine as well. So how was that experience, and what was that like?
So
also, any symptoms or anything like afterwards?
For sure, yeah, definitely there were symptoms. Okay, I'm gonna preface it 100% by saying this: no matter what you hear, the vaccine, like the symptoms of the vaccine, are not worse than actually getting COVID.
Yeah, I agree.
The
only reason
permanent scarring on your lungs might be a little worse than being sick for a couple
The
days.
reason I mentioned that too is because I felt like you could unravel that for a listener, because like this podcast is put forth to like try and educate people who are listening in.
Yeah.
So like tell them what your experience was like.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, I won't say like it's definitely like not a realistic perception, but it is like one that people have, that they're like, oh my god, are the symptoms bad? But explain it to them.
Actually, I can explain that by like using an example that happened today actually. So the reason why I bring up the fact that the vaccine itself is better than getting COVID is because a lot of people, like you said, just will not get the vaccine because they're afraid of the symptoms.
Yeah.
I know these people.
What is it? I work with like a ton of like former cops and like former like firefighters and stuff in my job. One of them is a like he's like a former like mass statey, right?
Mhm.
So like like you'd expect him to like be like more of a man, but I hope he doesn't like somehow find this podcast. But yeah.
Nah, it's too late now, bro. Call them out.
Shit, I guess
Just don't name drop him. That's
Yeah.
it. You're fine.
I don't even know his last name. To be
He
honest.
probably doesn't watch this shit anymore.
Hopefully, could you imagine? But okay, anyways, so yeah, he was telling me, he's like, yeah, I'm like, I don't want to get like, fuck that, fuck all those symptoms. That sounds horrible. Like, I don't want to get it. I'm like, bro, like, you had COVID. Like, what the fuck? Like,
Never get people like that.
or no, sorry. He didn't have it. It was comorbid. Okay. Anyways, so the symptoms. First shot is not as bad as the second shot. Like,
Okay.
you get your first shot. You get some, like, what is it? This like the typical like you get a shot in your arm.
The little like arm.
Yeah.
What is it? Like the chills. I think the chills are probably the worst part for me.
Okay.
Oh, I hate that.
What is it? It was just like for example, after the first one, like it would just be like I would be like slightly like, just like a little cold, like not like a little like it was, like I would just like toss on a sweatshirt, like more so than like I would have been wearing. Just one extra layer and I'd be fine. Right?
Like you're either too cold or too hot kind of thing.
Yeah, so like I'd fall asleep like just trying to like cover up and like I was like fine, like I wasn't like insanely cold, but then like I'd wake up in a sweat.
Well,
Yeah.
to be fair, isn't that just the vaccine working? Because isn't it just
Yeah,
like an
it is.
immune response?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, you said the chills were the worst. Didn't you didn't you throw up after the second?
yeah, but that wasn't as bad as the chills because
Seriously?
the chills for the second
You
one
can't feel
actually.
comfortable with chills, you know?
Well, no, because the chills for the second vaccine.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Like, so for context for anyone who's like watching who's not in New England, I guess it's been really really warm recently. Monday night, like it was pretty warm. Like it was like significantly warm.
Yeah, it was
right?
pretty warm.
I fell asleep like
Yeah.
shivering, like completely like snuggled, like completely shivering. But like I was like I felt like extremely like genuinely cold. And it was like when I woke up that morning. When I woke up like the morning after, like I woke up next to my girlfriend and I was like, hey, like we were just like talking, I'm like, hey babe, are you cold? And she's like not at all. Like I'm like dying. Like what are you talking about? And like that's I guess when like things started going like not downhill, but like the effects started kicking in a little bit more.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I threw
Yeah.
up once, fever for a little bit, like nothing really crazy, but again, it's only for
It's not
like 24 hours.
So I think maybe like that chills effect is why people say the fever is so bad. Like it's not necessarily a fever the whole time where you're like pounding headache and like sneezing and coughing, but it's like the chills are like the first symptom that comes on when you get a fever, you know? Like you're never hot or like you're always either too hot or too cold.
Yeah.
There's no comfort.
What is it? The fever like literally lasted 24 hours too, so that's another like positive about it. Like it doesn't last at all.
No.
Oh, that's not too bad. Yeah.
Facts. Like I like for anyone taking like the vaccine, I guess who's like, but I guess like trying to plan out their life around it. After the first one, I had to take a day off of work. I didn't necessarily have to, but like I woke up that morning, like when I actually called out, I woke up that morning feeling like shit. Around like midday is when I started to feel better. So like honestly, I didn't have to, but I thought I did at the time. For the second shot, I probably would have taken off 2 days if I had been working like the 2 consecutive days.
Okay. All right.
So if you're getting the vaccine plan for like days you're not working, whether that be the weekend or during the week.
Yeah, or like
Yeah.
take time off or like what have you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What is it? The only thing that I will say though is that the mass vaccination sites, like they're very very careful. Like they like literally made me like replace my mask. I don't know why, but they made me replace my mask. Or like for my second shot, they actually made me put on a second mask on top of my first one.
Jeez.
So like, they take it pretty seriously, and like they like very strictly enforce like you know like how when you go to like to any like restaurant or whatever in like supermarket and they got like the little dots on the floor like
Yeah.
for social distancing, like they very heavily enforce that. Like,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like it's a lot of people in there.
Okay, yeah,
Oh,
that
I
was my
believe
next
it.
question is what are the vaccination sites looking like? Probably similar to the testing sites, like when it was really like popular.
Well, the only difference is that you can't. Well, I mean, actually, I'm not sure if they're gonna roll this out. I'd hope they would try to roll this out, but it's a lot harder to do like drive-through vaccines.
Yeah,
Obviously the testing,
100%.
but what is it? With testing, like with vaccines, like you really have to like dig more into their like past medical history to figure out like whether or not they can actually take the vaccine or like what kind of reaction is going to get to them. Whereas like a test, you're just like grabbing the stuff from the nose.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense as well.
Yeah.
But the mass vaccination sites, they're very, very well run. My only complaint would just be like too many people at once. But yeah, like very socially distanced. As far as I'm aware, the only like the mass vaccination sites that are open to everyone in mass are like Fenway and Gillette. So obviously like the huge stadiums.
Yeah.
The other vaccination sites are like town or city specific. So that's how they're limiting it from there.
Okay. Alrighty. Good. Oh, by the way, so you go to Suffolk, and you're in your junior year as well as us. So how's school been going? Your major, if you wanted to mention a little bit about like what you've done with the school as well, you're more than welcome to.
Sure. So I mean, I don't want to complain. I mean, you know, I'm definitely blessed to be able to go to school. We all are. But that being said, if I were to sit here and tell you guys I'm having a good old fashioned day anytime, I'd be lying.
Yeah.
I feel that actually.
Yeah, in-person classes are much easier to learn from.
Facts.
It's very,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
it's just very like it's like there's a level that you have to kind of teach yourself now with online classes.
Yeah, fact. I was gonna say like the in-person is much more engaging to the point where you're actually learning in person, like rather than like after class.
Yeah.
I also think like if I can just kind of go off that point is like tuition should have been reduced. If you think about it, there's not nearly as many resources needed to run online campus as there was for in-person classes. So like if you think about it, I know they cut down the student activity cost. It might have been zero. I don't know.
Which was stupid because that's our club fee right
At
now.
the same time, if you think about it, it should have been way more than just the student activity that got cut off.
Should have been tuition.
They should have reduced tuition by at least 20% and cut administrative costs because like tuition remained the same. It didn't inflate, which is interesting because like college financing has like ballooned over the last 20 years, but like that's not really giving anything to students that they can be hopeful for because if you think about it, we've been overpaying for school since we started to go to school. So like if they had cut tuition back, it actually would have been more of an incentive for more kids to stay in school because a lot of kids stopped going to school as soon as the pandemic hit.
Yeah, but private schools also run like a business.
Yeah, it is.
And they lost revenue from international students, which is huge for private schools.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, honestly though, like if you, I completely get it from the perspective of a business and like sustaining the actual school.
Yeah.
But from the perspective of the student, like at the end of the day, bro, we're getting like a glorified like Purdue University Global or like whatever like online programs. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's literally like just an online program with our school's name and our school's tuition price tag on it.
Yeah.
Makes
Pretty
me
much.
sad though because I feel like the whole quality of education is dipped like across the board. It doesn't matter if you're going to like Harvard, Suffolk. It doesn't really matter where you're going. Your quality of education is dipping if your classes are on.
Oh yeah, significant.
Yeah, you can't go see your like professors in person. You have to go there after hours online. And like to me, there's actually like I don't know. There's not as much of a human element in trying to talk to your professors over like a webcam as there was like when they can explain something in depth in person.
On top of that, when you're in person, like your professor and you can
Bond.
make like human connection as well.
Bond,
Like
yeah.
it's not just about the topic at hand, you know.
Yeah. It's about like trying to formulate a relationship that will help you in the future.
Yeah.
I was gonna say too, like, because obviously you know, like us wanting to be hired after graduation, like we need our references and stuff. It's a lot harder to get like, I mean, I guess like it depends on the professor too, but I feel like it's a lot harder to like get a meaningful connection where you're gonna want to like use that professor as a reference. Like now that we're on Zoom,
Yeah.
That's true.
out of we've been on Zoom for like 2.5 semesters.
About 2.5
Yeah.
semesters. Yeah.
So technically speaking, like even though we didn't take all of spring semester last year on Zoom, we took roughly 12 classes, like give or take, on Zoom.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Out of the 12 classes, I mean, and like of course, please, like if you guys have a different, like a completely different experience, like please let me know. But I think out of those 12 classes, I would only ever ask one of those professors for a reference. Like of the Zoom.
Well,
I think
for
out of
this
the
last
12,
maybe 2.
I'd say I'm between 2 or 3.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The only thing is 3 might be a stretch. So
Two.
it's between there.
2.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's way less like before this whole Zoom thing started, like there were There were like 4 professors that like knew me, knew who I was, and we would like talk and like shoot the shit.
Do you guys think we're going back for fall? Like, do you guys think fall?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, I think
I'm very
we will.
confident that we'll be fully online.
You know what? One thing, I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here, but like one thing about the fall. So when it comes to going to class in person, right? Your days actually become a lot less free because you have to spend a lot more time commuting there and
That's
back.
kind of true. Yeah.
Whereas like one freedom that like online classes offer is like you now have the time to like develop habits and like hobbies for yourself. You also have the time to work more. It's pretty convenient in that sense, like lifestyle. But at the same time, your education.
I'm actually kind of with you on the point that I don't think mandatory in-person classes are gonna like resume in the fall. I think it might be hybrid, and I don't even know if they'll ever really return to fully in-person. You might have an option in the future to take.
Yeah, it might be optional, like
maybe. But
I
maybe
hope they
for
go back to.
well, like in the summer, typically you can take either online or in person.
yeah.
And there's some schools that always offer just online because
Well,
like
it depends on the class.
Global.
Arizona online.
Yeah, Arizona State.
Or Phoenix.
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 We're just making fun of all these.
No, but like, dude, before COVID, there was still like
ITT Technical Institute.
but like before SNHU online.
Bro, that's like how they became so big, bro. I think they like really invested in their online stuff.
But like I took a couple online before COVID. I think Jake might be right. Like there'll be more of an option.
I think
most people are gonna want to just go back because like most people just like think you're getting a little ripped off.
But
like,
the problem is like now with work and everything, it's like I kind of agree with Avi on that. Is like with work and everything, are you really gonna forfeit like all the benefits to work or to going to school remotely? Like it frees up your time in a way that makes work obligations so much easier to manage. So
Dude, I was gonna say,
there's kind of like a.
I think if we can choose, it'd be the best. Because I would take the classes I'm more serious about in person.
Yeah.
And then the ones I just want to kind of get out
So
of the way.
those fucking scums don't
I think
raise
my
tuition.
Yeah, no.
I think major classes in person, but anything else online.
Yeah. So that way at least you can like have a balance of the two. But my thing is this, like, I feel like it's weird because like now that we're in this like situation that we're in now, we're like, damn, I miss in person. Like I miss fucking like being in that classroom and like breathing the same air particles and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
Like now,
just like talking to people before and after class was huge.
Yeah, facts. Like socialization is completely different.
Yeah.
But like
that was the biggest thing.
But like now that I'm honestly thinking about it, like, could you imagine getting back on the fucking train and like having to deal with like the guy like stealing some other guy's AirPod or like some guy like jacking off in the corner.
The guy doing the backflip asking you for money. It's like, bro, I'm literally a broke college kid.
Yeah. It's like, I'm in college, man. How much money do you think you can get out of me?
And like, I mean, this kind of like not to like sound all too privileged or anything, but like since we've been online, I think I've taken the T once.
Yeah, I haven't. Well,
I can't relate because I need it for work. So
I used to take
it
the
like
T
3
a lot.
days a week.
Ever since I started driving, though, the thing is, like with you and me, like once you get a car, it's like you don't want to use the T anymore.
Facts. Like if I I of course like if I'm offered a job anywhere, I'll take it. But like I just do not want to work downtown.
Yeah,
so
I want a car.
Well, dude, downtown. This is the problem with downtown. Downtown is like the most anti-car environment of anywhere.
Yeah,
like the suburbs of Boston are actually pretty car friendly.
Yeah,
I'd argue you need a car if you're in like Somerville Assembly area.
Yeah,
car is essential. Even on the western
orange line.
Yeah.
Well, to get downtown, but no, to get around, like grocery shop, run your daily errands.
I grew up in Arlington. We never needed a fucking car.
No, I did because I've been to
bro. We never.
Bro,
in Malden, we had it. We didn't need it.
But I'll say,
we just had it to like.
But in Malden, there's no buses that take you anywhere.
Is there
unless you're going to the T.
Commuter rail.
Unless you're going to the T.
No, there's buses in Malden.
Yeah, Kamal still. Well, he had a car and like someone fucking totaled his shit.
Yeah.
But he's still able to get around. Like he's still fucking. And he was still able to get around before too.
The one thing I
Yeah.
will say though is that
It's
All right,
nice to have a car, but I
The
don't
MBTA
agree
is
that
not
it's
terrible.
necessary.
the
Yeah.
MBTA is not
MBTA
terrible.
does kinda
maybe
go
it's just
everywhere.
a lot more convenient.
It's convenient, yes.
Like
but it's-
significant.
there's
Yeah,
plenty of
convenience
people I
for
know
sure.
who don't need it. And
But-
Yeah.
But then again, it is
The
also
other
an
thing is, if
expense.
you need, here's
Yeah,
what I'll
it is.
agree. If you're on like a time constraint, taking the MBTA is the worst.
Yeah.
Because like if you didn't
it's unreliable.
allocate time properly, you're gonna be late. Like that
Yeah.
was the
Well,
one
okay.
thing that always bothered
Well,
me.
the
But then
reason
again,
is
Yeah, most
Exactly.
lines are unreliable for like there's some buses that kind of come frequently, but a lot of the subways like they're
Oh my
pretty
God.
they're pretty random.
I'd say
Let's
the
see, like, the two
501
stops
and
away.
the 86 are great. The
They're great,
501
and the
and
57
57
is the most consistent.
Yeah,
but it takes a
57 is
while.
consistent.
And then you
And
hop
then
on the red line, you
this-
see like 2 stops away, fucking sorry.
Yeah,
good
well,
job.
the red line's not that bad actually. Sometimes it's bad, but usually it's the most consistent. And then there's buses like 77 to 73 that go from Harvard. Those aren't bad.
Mm.
But the green line, like that thing shows up when it wants, and the orange line actually is like a little better, but like you're just gonna be riding with crackheads on the
Yeah,
orange
Dude,
line.
oh my god. Wait, okay,
The
I
orange
have like
line is
2 like really pressing things I really want to say.
What?
Okay, to your point about the car thing, like yeah, the MBTA sucks for getting you in like place on time, but dude, I'd argue that cars are worse. Like especially with like before COVID,
Oh,
like with
before,
that.
yeah.
Oh my
You're actually
Well, the traffic
this
in the
week,
city's a bitch.
Did you drive around at all?
Dude,
This
oh
week
my
was
god,
so
on my way
bad.
to work today, because I have to go to what was it? I have to pass through like I take the Pikes. It's
Felt
Hogan.
pre-COVID, bro. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, it
there's
literally
so
felt
many cars.
pre-COVID. Like I like,
really.
Yeah,
and-
it's bad.
oh my god,
Oh,
this one guy
man.
this one guy didn't know how to fucking drive. Like got so mad at me when I could corrected him on his shitty driving. I don't know. Anyways.
This week it was pronounced, dude. There were way more cars on the road than like
Yeah.
normal with
Probably
COVID.
because
Yeah.
it's warmer.
Yeah, that's
But
exactly what
That's
it is.
probably why, yeah. That's the main
People were just
reason.
out doing shit.
All
People
right.
want to go out.
We're gonna wrap this up. We're going into our first topic. So this is from Reuters.com, and it is new U.S. COVID-19
Reuters.
cases. Well, I thought it was Reuters. I think.
Reuters.
Reuters. Whatever. Same.
Rucker is a university.
Same. Okay, I'm blind. I mean.
I thought a
Did you
Ruger was,
really?
I thought a Ruger was a gun.
Yeah, I thought he was talking
That's a
about.
Ruger.
Yeah, I thought he was talking about Rutgers, like the college website.
Yeah, that's what I thought I was talking about too. All right.
No, that's Ruger.
New
Yeah.
U.S. COVID cases fall 12% last week. Vaccinations top 2 million a day.
Yes, sir.
The United States reported a 12% decline in new COVID cases last week, while vaccinations accelerated to a record 2.2 million shots per day, according to Reuters. Reuters. I'm sorry, it sounds like Hooters. It literally sounds like
It's rude. That's just how it's pronounced.
Reuters.
Reuters.
Might as well say
Reuters.
at this point.
It's probably
Reuters
Reuters.
analysis of state, country, and CDC data. New infections have dropped for 8 weeks in a row, averaging 60,000 new cases per day for the week ended March 7th. Deaths linked to COVID-19 fell 18% last week to 11,800, the lowest since November, and averaging 1,686 per day. Despite the positive trends, health officials have warned the country could see a resurgence in cases as more infectious variants of the virus have been found in nearly every state. I'm assuming that's probably from England, because I know there was a variant. There was a variant over there that was like
UK and something.
very popular. And then it says
Yeah.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, the top U.S. infectious disease expert, has urged the nation to keep the pandemic restrictions in place until new cases fall to under 10,000 per day. 13 out of 50 states reported new infections last week, or more new infections last week compared to the previous 7 days, down from 29 states in the prior week. Actually, that's a huge drop off.
Good.
New Jersey, New York, and Rhode Island have the highest cases of new infections per 100,000 residents. All right, so Youssef, what do you think of these trends since you're in the industry?
I think that it's good that people are getting vaccinated, and I definitely say that that's gotta be like why kids are going now. But at the same time, I'd argue that there's 2 things I'd have to say. One, people are gonna fail to realize that we like whether or not you liked it, especially like the Republicans that are shaking in their boots right now. But whether or not you liked it, you did socially distance for the winter. You know, like you didn't see people as much.
Yeah.
Like even if it was subconscious, like you socially more likely than not you did. So I'd say that probably has something to do with it as well. And what was it? The only other thing I'd say too is that I just worry that the the presence of the vaccine is gonna make everyone just fucking forget that COVID is like still like a very serious real thing. You know, like at the end of the day, like it's so easy to like just in hindsight, say 500,000 Americans died. 500,000 Americans died. Like when you like put
it's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like not to get
It's 2/3 of the population of Boston.
Yeah, like not to get depressing, but like if you were to put 500,000 like bodies in front of you, like you would realize the magnitude of what that really is. You know?
You'd be traumatized.
Yeah, exactly.
Like seeing 500,000 dead people in front of you. Like that's
so
that's a wall.
That's what I'm saying. So like it's so easy to quantify it, but like it's much harder to actually humanize it. But like my thing is this. People like will fail and be like, oh yeah, we're dropping off in death. Like barely anyone is dying anymore. There's still people dying though.
Yeah,
like barely anyone is still someone. You know, like
actually one of my coworkers, his uncle died this morning. And so this guy made my commute much easier going to work in Plymouth. So I take the red line twice a week now I go to Quincy Adams, then he drives me down to Plymouth. But he was telling me about COVID this morning. He was like we're getting all these vaccines, right? But it's spread so much that it's going to be similar to the flu where the reason why it mutates is it adapts to different people. So these vaccines protect against a certain number of mutations and cases, but as time goes on, he thinks we're going to see a spike in the winter because as everyone starts traveling again, mutations that are very unique are going to start spreading. So that's one concern he had. I haven't really looked into it myself, but I think that's something worth thinking about.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think once it went global, the problem with like even combating the virus long term is with like the mutations, and we see with the flu is every year there's pretty much new mutations of the flu where we're going to be living with COVID potentially for the rest of our lives.
Well, so if you look at polio, right, the reason why it was so hard to eradicate, it was so widespread. The reason why polio mutated so fast is because so many different people got it. But then once large numbers because the U.S. government mandated it, governments across the world mandated that you need to get this vaccine. And then once it was out of the general public, it was a lot easier to eradicate.
That makes sense.
So that's the way you eradicate a disease is
you mandate
it. If it's spreading, it's going to mutate a lot because it affects different people different ways. And the virus adapts differently to each person. So basically, you got to get vaccinated against the common stuff. And eventually, the mutated stuff that's taken a longer time to eradicate will come. But it's going to take time. It doesn't just happen.
So basically, you're saying the reason we haven't eradicated the flu is because the world governments are lazy.
Well, the flu is very different in that... have you seen Pandemic on Netflix? It's like a documentary on like people making vaccines for the flu.
Yeah, I did.
And like the biggest flu outbreaks we've ever had. The flu mutates wicked fast, and it comes back super different every year. So the flu shot you get protects against like the last 4 most common flus. But then the next year brings the next 2 or 3 new common flus.
Yeah.
So every year you're getting the vaccine for the past popular one. So the flu is different. I don't know if the flu and COVID are comparable yet. Only time will tell.
Well, the thing is too, like you gotta know that the vaccinations are different with sequencing as well. Like,
Yeah, they are.
It's not like it's just it's not like they're injecting dead COVID into you like they do with the flu.
Yeah.
But then again, because my thing is this, dude. Like, obviously, I trust the vaccine 100%, especially now that I'm fully vaccinated. You know, like, I didn't grow a third arm, I didn't grow, like, a third eye or any shit like that.
Wait, you didn't wake up with, like, glowing skin or, like, radiation?
You didn't get the spots.
Dude, that'd be kind of sick. Could you imagine?
Yeah, I was gonna say, bro.
You didn't get,
You're
like...
one of a kind, you know what I mean?
You didn't get, like, crippling, like, disabilities from getting the vaccine?
Yeah, I got crippling abilities to avoid COVID.
If you could glow in the dark, though, you'd be mad popular at, like, what are they called? What is that game that you got? Laser tag. Like, can you imagine going to, like, laser tag arcades? You'd be like...
I feel like, yeah, if I was actually going in the dark, that'd probably be, like, the last thing that's actually on my mind.
Like, black light
Yeah.
parties, that'd be sick.
But, No, but the thing that like really scares me, bro, is that the fact that like so many healthcare workers are not like they're fearful of the vaccine or just like distrusting the vaccine. These are fucking healthcare workers, bro. These are people who have influence over your health.
I
Like, you know what I
actually
mean?
know someone.
I actually know a
that's not
healthcare worker that
won't get
refuses to
it.
get
Same.
it as
I know
well.
one as
Like,
well.
These are people who they have so much
pretty
influence on
ironic.
other people and they like refuse to acknowledge it. You know?
Yeah.
The other thing is, like, if these people went to college, they studied this as well. They studied like either biology or some form of like medical major.
Biology, they study disease,
Yeah.
they study biology.
It's like they actually know how the immune system works,
Yes.
even if it's in a basic form. So it's like, how can you stand against something?
I mean, the
that's
thing
like-
is, the information on how the COVID vaccines are actually made is out there. You just have to take the effort to go read it. I mean, like, it's super advanced what they did with
that
COVID
trust the smart
vaccine.
people.
And, like, that Netflix docuseries Pandemic, they were highlighting this, like, startup biotech company that was trying to make a
California,
flu vaccine that would completely eliminate the flu. Like, it could not only protect against past, but future. So it's what they were trying to do with that vaccine is very similar to what they've actually done with the COVID vaccine. It's
I'm looking
really
at the names
cool.
of those people because I remember.
Yeah, I
There's
forget.
a guy and a girl.
I watched that in like even before we started this podcast. I watched Pandemic.
But see, that would make sense because like what is it? Like the new variants came out technically after the vaccines were authorized. And it's about I'm not sure about that, but I know for a fact that they came to the United States after the vaccines were authorized. And there's no data to show that the like vaccines don't protect against the new variants, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Only time will tell, really.
yeah. But
Yeah.
well I think as far as we know they do, but that's just as far as we know.
Yeah.
But
COVID vaccines are super advanced. Like they're next level.
All right, so I remember this guy was the doctor of the small startup in California. It's Cenovax, and his name is Dr. Jacob Glanville.
Cenovax. Yeah.
Glanville. And yeah, he was the one who was. He had a worker too. She was a woman. And they were like, I remember because they were in a different country. I think they were in somewhere in South America, like studying pigs or something.
Yeah, it was Panama.
Panama. Okay,
Because
so
in Panama, it was something about cost. Like in Panama, they wanted to get like a ton of pigs to test on, and like Panama was like the best place for them to get the amount of pigs they needed.
that makes sense.
Because pigs actually have a very similar immune system to humans.
Yeah, I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of since we're a mammal, a lot of mammals share similar DNA. That's why they do a lot of tests on
Yeah,
mice.
well,
because
specifically pigs and monkeys, of course,
Yeah.
and bears are actually
Mice
pretty
as well.
similar.
A lot of
Well, I think like
Yeah,
it
rats,
depends on
actually.
it depends on what system of the human body you're trying to
Yeah.
test. Like it depends on what the disease attacks and what system it attacks, and
Yeah.
like there are different animals that have those systems closer to humans.
then again too, like a lot of the time, like for example, what is it? Like those like rats that are like specifically bred for lab testing.
Yeah.
Yeah, lab
Right.
rats.
That doesn't make sense. Yeah. So like for example, lab rats, like they have like probably not much like their anatomy is like not similar to that of humans at all.
Yeah.
Their biological
Yeah.
makeup is
I
like
feel like the
Like, they
closest
have, like, a
we get is a primate because I know with chimpanzees we share like I want to say it's like something ridiculous like 98% of the
Yeah.
same genome as a chimpanzee.
Yeah, but
The
you
only
can't.
problem is
It's
they're
illegal
critically-
to test.
They're
on
also critically
Yeah.
endangered. Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to test it on monkeys.
No.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Monkeys are mad intelligent.
It kind
chimp, I guess.
well,
is
it,
an
com-
ape, not
it
a
comes
monkey,
into
but-
like animal rights at some point too, because
Yeah.
like populations of mice aren't really endangered at all. They're
No.
actually overpopulated, so it
Yeah, you
makes
can
more
find
sense.
them anywhere.
especially when they're bred.
Noise.
Yeah,
Like especially when they're bred specifically.
like you're gonna
You're gonna
decimate
suffer
the
dorms,
you're gonna
find the
decimate
lower.
the chimpanzee
Facts.
populations if you like test them with like drugs that could potentially harm them,
Yeah.
just to like benefit humans.
No, that's true.
Nah, that comes into the whole human or the animal rights.
Well,
Alright,
also,
I think that's it for my topic. Anyone? Did you have any final thoughts?
no, that's pretty much it for me.
Alright. All right. So before we get into our next topic, we wanted to thank Youssef for coming on. Thank you for all that you've done. You've been an amazing insight, and thanks for the work that you do on the testing side as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thank you. I mean, I would love to be back on. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Without a doubt.
That was Youssef. We'll post up links to his Instagram as well. You'll be able to find him if you follow our show. Yeah, and then we'll go on the second topic from there.
Yeah.
If you want, you can. Okay.
So they have to like crawl out.
Nah,
and slip
yeah.
out.
Nah, it's just-
It's all
Yeah.
yeah. Thanks, bro.
Yeah,
That was
thanks,
awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
Thanks for coming on, bro.
No, thank you. Honestly, that was like I very much enjoyed that. I'd love to be back on. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
fun.
definitely like having me.
Yeah. So speaking of dying animals, I've been watching Our Planet. That's David Attenborough's like latest docu-series on Netflix. It came out last year. It's so, man, I love those series. I don't think it's better than Planet Earth 2. I think Planet Earth 2 was next level. Planet Earth 2 might be the greatest nature documentary ever made.
Planet Earth is unreal.
Planet Earth and Planet Earth 2 are fantastic. Like they're primal, beautiful. Like they show like the ugly side and the beautiful side of nature. Whereas Our Planet is really more focused on the beauty side of things. So like you feel like it's like the G-rated version of Planet Earth. But the thing about Our Planet is they reveal a lot more about how the planet's changing. Like, instead of focusing on the food chain and how animals interact, they talk about how environments affect each other. So, like
makes sense.
Like winds that push sand from a desert, push minerals, like, over 50 miles away into the deep ocean, where that allows like unactivated like bacteria to start feeding, activate, fish eat that, all of a sudden the oceans, like these are mysteries of the ocean that no one knew about until recently. So it's little things like that, like also ice caps melting, but polar bears might be going extinct soon. They're the largest land like carnivore that we have on this
I
planet.
feel like they're the poster child for climate change. It's just like a sad, lonely polar bear on like a piece of floating ice in the middle of the
I mean,
ocean.
then again, I never want to meet one in person.
Nah,
But-
those are
This will
scary.
actually fuck you up.
Yeah, those things, because there's no food out there. It's just ice. Bro, do you know the amount of effort a polar bear has to go
Yeah.
through?
Well, have you seen those videos of them trying to like record the polar bears and they're literally like trying to get them in the fucking
They
thing?
don't stop, bro. Those
Yeah.
videos go on for like half an hour.
Polar bears and grizzly bears are the two predators
Yeah.
that don't give a fuck. Like they'll literally
Yeah.
destroy anything.
Nah, big cats are pretty much the same way.
The thing with big cats, right? Though,
Sometimes they just
Yeah.
walk.
well, the thing is
Like,
with
they
big
just keep
cats
going.
No.
is they're only carnivores, so they'll kill you like instantly. Like it's an instant, quick death. But like bears eat anything, like they're omnivores, so they just rip you apart.
Yeah.
They just grab you and rip you.
Bro, if you've seen The Revenant,
I wouldn't want to be around any of these.
I think The
Yeah, but I
Revenant,
take a death by like a mountain lion or a tiger over a bear.
The Revenant has a more yeah, it'd be over
Quick and
much
easy.
quicker from like a
Or like a
tiger.
cougar, like a leopard
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
We're talking about species we actually need to eradicate. Let's talk about
Coyotes.
Rats.
No,
Coyotes, bro, over
bears, lions, tigers. Get rid of them.
No,
You can't
Fuck
just
off.
get rid of animals. Okay?
no. If there's one
Animals are on
We're doing
Animals
it with
are on the
elephants.
planet
No,
for
no.
a reason.
There's
They
one
balance
species
out
that needs to go.
nature. That you're missing the whole point of planet Earth and
If
planet
there's one
Earth
species
2.
that needs to
That's
go,
what it's all
it's
about.
coyotes, because coyotes aren't even native to like the
No
northeast.
species
and shit.
needs to go.
Yes, they do. They're overpopulated.
I have a
We-
species that needs to go. Humans.
You know, actually,
I want to bring back the eastern wolf. I don't want coyotes. Coyotes belong in the south, not
The
New England.
wolves, dude. They
In
got rid of the
Texas,
wolves for a
Eastern wolves.
reason, though. They got rid of them for a reason, dude. Because they
Sheep
were killing
farming.
people. Yeah,
There's
they were
still
killing
some
them.
wolves. You know the wolves? They'll fuck the coyotes.
I know
Make, like,
one,
this massive coyote wolf thing.
I know
It's
one
kinda
animal
crazy.
population that's actually running rampant right now in
White-tailed
Texas.
dog.
Boars.
Boars.
Yeah,
People, there are
They pay you.
they pay you to kill boars in Texas.
I want
Like,
to go there.
they're like rich farmers will go up in helicopters with assault rifles and just
Yeah, that's
Just
a fair fight.
unload onto board.
It's
The
so
thing is,
sick.
So people nowadays
See
see hunting as
coyotes
like,
in New England and then replace
feel
them
like-
with wolves.
nowadays there's
Hard to
this
find
stigma that like oh, meat contributes to so much global warming, and then they're like, I'm vegan, and hunting is bad because it's meat. But
factory farming does.
So here's the thing. The reason why
Not hunting.
Yeah, the reason why meat is so bad for the environment is the over farming we have of chicken and cow.
Now.
If you actually look at the biggest global warming factors, it's like agriculture and energy are the top two.
Yeah,
cars are not in the top three.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It's more
to me.
agriculture and energy than anything.
It was actually crazy to me to learn that agriculture is the number one polluter.
It is.
Yeah, it's far more than cars.
Yeah,
far more.
And it's
not even
competitive
close.
with
It's not
energy
comparable.
production.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
The
to
thing
me
is,
it takes that much.
Energy can't go anywhere.
No.
Because
Well,
as the population grows, people need
That's why
energy.
here's the thing: going vegan won't necessarily be overall better for the climate because if you're eating stuff like soybeans and corn, that still takes up a lot of land. That still
And
contributes to
water.
climate. Yeah.
But here's the thing:
But if you eat game like fish and deer and that kind of stuff, wild turkeys, that actually is good for the ecosystem because it prevents overpopulation and it keeps the overall ecosystem stable.
Well, so here's the thing about
because we've killed off too many natural predators like the wolves.
Yeah.
So that's why white-tailed deer is overpopulated.
And there are also people. Yeah, exactly. Every species matters in the food. You can't just eradicate species. But on top of that, so when people who go fully to veganism, it's for health. I think that's a great reason. Yeah. But if you're saying it's for climate change and to protect our environment, if you're shopping at a grocery store, then you're not contributing anything.
Yeah.
Hunting is far more environment. Living off your land is what matters. That's how you keep the planet protected and maintained. But we've come to this point in society where we think, oh, meat causes all this pollution. Don't eat meat. That's bad. No, that's not how it works. You gotta eat what's around you.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't do it. Like, I'm in college right now. I gotta get the food I want to eat healthy.
Yeah, but
I live in a city.
At home where I live, we have our own garden, grow our own vegetables.
Yeah.
And that's the most sustainaable shit.
Exactly.
And we still live in a relatively urban area.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Gardening is something that should be taught in schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really should. That saves our planet.
It's a good point, though. I mean, I feel like humans just have too much of an impact over almost every sphere at this point.
Well, it's because,
the planet,
you live in a place where oranges might grow some part of the season, but instead of just getting those oranges, you're going to go to a supermarket and get them where it took diesel trucks, gas-fueled planes to ship them from, California or Mexico.
Yeah.
It's why?
I actually think the agriculture equation of emissions is easier to solve than the energy production one because humans, no matter where you live, humans are consuming more energy year over year than any other sphere that's increasing. The average human's energy consumption increases, I think it was 30% globally per year. So when you think about that, you don't eat 30% more meat every year for a typical global global human. What you do is consume more energy because as economies become more developed, you have access to more resources. So the biggest question is how are we going to change the big infrastructure inside energy to combat climate change?
Yeah.
Because if energy production attributes what would it be 30-something% probably, and cars are 17, so cars aren't as big of an equation.
Actually,
and agriculture is a bunch. So you can fix agriculture much easier if you pay people to slaughter their livestock and keep food reserves at a lower percentage.
Yeah.
But energy production is one of those factors that increases every year, so you need kind of a revolutionary technology to solve it. I think it's nuclear. A lot of people think it's renewables. I just think nuclear is the fast fix right now. But that's just me.
I agree that nuclear is the best solution.
Just a fast fix. It gets you to where you need to be quick.
Not only is it a fast fix, I think it's more of a long-term fix because as technology has advanced, it's become much safer. Yeah. We have better computers, better monitoring.
We're not anti-green either. We actually fully support sustainables. It's just if you're trying to get there, it's going to take a lot longer
Yeah.
than just implementing nuclear and like trying to like upscale solar and wind over time.
Yeah,
And one thing I say again is we need new nuclear reactors.
Agreed.
Because the ones built in the 80s and 90s, as you can see,
They're outdated.
looking at
They need to-
history, they're very
decommission.
they're very outdated.
But I mean, we're about to spend $1.9 trillion on the U.S., and I don't think any of that is going to go towards nuclear energy.
Nuclear's got a bad reputation
because of the disaster.
yeah.
Yeah, but that was from outdated.
Wasn't the last one was in
Yeah,
Japan?
exactly.
Yeah, Fukushima, yeah.
But that was because of a earthquake.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Like
that
in-
also, that reactor was from like the late 80s. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
but they
sure.
were running that fine. If it wasn't for an earthquake and
Yeah,
a
but
tsunami,
You
there
should
never
know
would
that
have
if you
been a
live in Japan,
disaster.
it's a seismic area.
Ever since
Yeah.
that
Yeah, that's a
disaster,
fair
though,
point. It's very
like
volcanic.
nuclear's a lot
Yeah,
more
yeah.
expensive now because firms have stopped injecting cash into making the technology better because it has a bad reputation in the public.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a fact of the technology. But like I actually think like dollars allocated towards nuclear would actually help curb climate change a lot quicker than most solutions.
It would, definitely. It's not even close.
It's not.
It's not comparable. Nuclear is the only solution we have.
It is.
Hydropower is terrible for the environment.
Yeah.
Geothermal and
Geothermal.
nuclear are the best
Yeah,
solutions
if you
we
can
have.
do geothermal,
It's
that's
difficult.
One of the
It's
best.
actually a lot more difficult to pull off. I've read into this because with geothermal, you need enough
It's
heat.
also insanely
It's
expensive.
expensive,
very expensive.
but it's actually
wind and
practicality.
solar are
It's-
ideally some of the best.
How deep you need to drill
Well-
into the earth to get the proper temperatures for
Yeah.
geothermal to work correctly is actually a lot harder.
Solar's
to pull
pretty great. I would say I'm not a big wind energy advocate
off. I don't
because
mind it.
we don't
Yeah,
have a
I
way
mean-
of disposing of wind. So wind turbines have a very short lifespan, and our solution to disposing of them is throwing them in the ocean.
What we should do
Yeah,
is,
well,
is
that I
bury
know
them.
to support.
You know what I've actually
Yeah.
thought?
We should what we should do
Bury
is
them.
use
We
them
can't
to
bury
rebuild. No, we should use the metal up from wind turbines to make other shit.
Well, we should do that
That's what I
too.
think.
But I've also been like a huge proponent of when lithium's depleted, where do you put it? I vote underground in the deserts. That's where I think it should go. But I mean, a lot of people disagree with
Well,
that.
it's pretty
fair.
poisonous to the ground.
But you're talking about a desert environment. Who cares if it's poisonous? Nothing
Yeah.
lives there.
The thing is, well,
Cactuses, bro.
Oh wow, you're gonna
Kill-
fucking decimate local
cactus
cactus.
talked about
Killing a lot of
this-
cactuses, bro.
we talked
Brought
about
all
this
those
on
camels and
Fireside
leopards.
actually a year and a half ago. There was a professor out of San Diego that created a solution that could recycle lithium batteries. But since then, no one's heard about it.
Actually, there's a
It
company
couldn't
right
get
now.
commercial.
There's a company right now called I'm gonna fuck this up, so let me look it up. But it's ticker. It's a publicly traded company. Is ABML. I think it's American Battery Metal. All right, let me not fuck
Is
this
that the
up.
Spire app?
No, this is Fidelity. Let me get
Yeah.
it.
Spire
It's
is
just Spire. I
Fidelity.
don't. It's just the normal. It says Fidelity on it. Anyway, let me find this.
I noticed.
Okay. Where is this thing? Okay, so it's called American Battery Metals Corporation. And they're actually located 20 miles away from the Gigafactory that Tesla has in Nevada. And what they do is they recycle old lithium batteries and try and make like new products. Like they put more lithium together to try and utilize
What
it
do they do with the
afterwards.
actual lithium? Because the thing
I
about
don't know, they break it
recycling.
down into like its chemical component to reuse
Really?
it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because the thing about recycling batteries and why lithium is so bad is the way we've been doing it traditionally, maybe until like the last 2-3 years,
Yeah.
is you burn the battery
They don't do that.
for the rare earth metals, the lithium burns into the atmosphere. And lithium has a carbon emission, like a greenhouse gas effect, 10 times stronger than
Than
carbon
CO2.
dioxide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, like,
10 times.
if
That's insane.
Yeah. If more companies, there's actually another company that is taking like trash, like waste, and it's creating biofuels from it as
Yeah.
well. So like, if more of those companies become popular, I feel like you could actually lower your print.
There are a lot of European companies that are turning ocean plastic into clothing and shoes
That's
nowadays too. Yeah.
I always love the history of the world. And the ocean's full of plastic. All right, I think that does it for that talk.
Yeah, so speaking of Europeans doing shit, the royal family recently is getting a lot of shit because apparently they were concerned about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's baby's skin color. So, recently Meghan Markle gave an interview with Oprah Winfrey where she was stated that she heard like rumors from the royal family that they were concerned about her child's skin color, and this sparked the whole controversy within the royal family and also just within the public because apparently a lot of people give a shit about royalty still, and Prince Harry was trying to separate himself from this and be like, I'm trying to change like the image of the royal family, and Prince William is like, we're not a racist family, like we never had any racism. And then there was other guys like Piers Morgan who like just recently quit his job in Good Morning Britain because he was like, I should be able to criticize Meghan Markle, it's free speech, and he got a lot of hate for it. He's like, I don't believe her. So there's a lot of controversy over this, and like frankly I'm not surprised because royalty and imperialism just has always been about racism and oppression. Like if we're being honest, like imperialism is always about people who have money and power over people who don't. So I'm not that shocked. But what I am shocked about is how this has become a whole worldwide scandal. So and people are losing their jobs over it and shit. So I want to hear your guys' take on this.
I'm honestly more surprised that people are shocked that the royal family is racist.
That's actually
okay, wait. So what did you think that a family whose entire fortune is built on slavery was? Like, you thought they were open-minded liberals? Like, they've been rich for centuries.
What I don't like about the royalty is that I've always felt like they try and mitigate, like, a lot of, like, concerns the public would have. However, to me, it's so disingenuous because if you think about it, most people in the public today, if you can't support, like interracial relationships or like mixed kids nowadays, like, I really don't feel like royalty has, like, it shouldn't have an avenue to be in the public anymore. It shouldn't exist if it can't like abide by the social norms.
Not only that, like royalty today exists from a time where people said they spoke through God, and the money they made from those times as rulers, these families now exist today. Like, what is it like? These people who are born into these families, they don't understand what the common person goes through. They don't understand what it is to work hard for a living. How can they, all these people idolize them. How can you even relate to these people? That's how you don't understand. Like,
well, I think it's strange.
The idolization of these people fascinates me. I don't know why people like us love this family.
I think it's strange because, like I said, nobility is really their only real claim to fame.
It's slavery.
I mean, the thing is, they're just people who are rich with money and power. Like, there's a lot of countries that have royal families still, but they don't have no power. But there's a few places like UK, Scandinavian countries, Holland, Spain, like, they technically have the power still on a diplomatic level and to enforce the Constitution. So they try to kind of always please all political parties, but then, like, at the same time, they kind of have, like, their own agenda where they're just trying to, like, keep their influence.
Yeah.
To me, I've always thought of it this way, where it's like, I don't understand it as an American because it just seems like, to me, it's a waste of taxpayer dollars in the sense that, like, all it is now is a title. It doesn't actually really have any like, real power. It's more of, like, a statement position than it is like an actual.
I mean, I will say there has been some.
They do have a lot of power.
Yeah, there's been some in history, like Princess Diana.
But
for
like
example.
they had different powers back then.
Well, yeah, back then the thing is, back then they had more power. I mean, they still have. I looked it up. They have more power. They have more powers than you'd expect. Actually, like in Spain, the King Felipe, his job is literally, if the government becomes too corrupt, he reinforces the Constitution.
Which
that actually isn't a bad thing. And like what Princess Diana did with like helping out like charities and like war torn countries that like a lot of it was
But
British
that's
She had,
Really?
she had shade with the family too. as
Yeah,
well.
she had
I
shade.
argued that that's very rare with
It's rare.
nobility
It is
because
rare.
nobility likes to keep everything within nobility,
Yeah,
and
my
the
problem with
people who go against that, who are born into
get
that
called
class,
out.
yeah, they're turned into the black sheep of those families.
Yeah.
You know what's unacceptable to me though? I honestly feel like some of the inner circle of the royal family thought that like bringing up like skin tone and stuff was risk mitigation. Like, at what point in modern society is that even should that be considered?
It's
risk
like you're rich
mitigation?
enough to see what's going on online.
Yeah.
Like you're rich enough to have internet.
How is that
Like-
like an acceptable form of
What
risk?
I think is
mitigation?
kind of ironic is like every time someone who is part of a royal family tries to use their like power to do anything good, like Princess Diana or Prince Harry, they get like
ridiculed?
shunned. Yeah.
I actually like Prince Harry too. I always thought like he was always the fun brother too. He didn't really seem like he
Yeah,
wanted
Vegas.
Bro, he didn't want to marry into some other noble family just
Yeah.
for
Who
the
is
looks
probably
of it.
distantly related.
And also his dad's. I heard like his dad stopped returning his phone calls. Like
Yeah.
him and William's relationship soured because
William's more pro-establishment.
Yeah.
I wonder
He's
how.
more anti-establishment.
I wonder how genetically intertwined royal families really are.
Well, here's what's
Yeah.
funny. So the British royal family is actually they're very German. They're related to the Germans.
Habsburgs, possibly.
No. Habsburgs are
Austrian.
Austrians.
They got them fucking
Yeah, but-
Texans.
Bro, at one point in
They're real-
time, the Habsburgs had what like
Well, the
now
Habsburgs-
could be considered Germany. Like they had.
Yeah, well, they had
massive
Germany,
empire.
they had
Holy
Spain,
Roman Empire.
Italy, France. Yeah.
The Holy Roman Empire, which was neither holy
Or
Yeah.
Roman.
nor Roman.
Well, yeah. No, the current
It was
British,
just an empire.
the current British family has Germany. They had like the Dutch. They had like Denmark. They even had like Greece at one point.
Yeah, their empire was
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah.
And
then
there's
the
a lot of
Habsburgs had, like
interbreeding,
Spain,
too.
France, Italy. Yeah, it's all they all just marry each
Did you guys
other.
know there was something like there was some genetics inside the Habsburgs because they were so inbred that like I don't remember which gender it was, but all the like people who were born of a certain gender were mad, like went crazy at
Yeah.
a certain age. Was it their females or their males?
Who do you
I don't
think
know.
They're
Joffrey
female.
from Game of Thrones is based off of?
The king of Bavaria, he went crazy and drowned himself in a lake. Yeah, but you know what's funny also about the current British royal family is like they're actually like half German. Like their house is Saxony Gotha, which is a German house, and like they changed it to Windsor during World War One just because they didn't want to be related to. Like they just didn't want people to think they were German. And then during World War II, a lot of them actually supported the Nazis, which
Nice.
is just ironic because it's like these guys are a bunch of fucking inbreds. Like all these
Yeah.
during World
They
War One.
are.
The German, the Kaiser, was
They're
related
just-
to the British king and the Russian Tsar. They're all like the whole World War One was fought because of a family feud.
Royals are a
And
bunch
thousands
of
of fucking
inbred.
people lost their
Like-
lives. Yeah. So
I don't
many-
know why. Like they only have respect because they're establishment money.
Yeah.
They've had money for centuries.
Yeah.
That's the only reason the
They have
royal.
respect. They have money and power.
Those people were born into it. They
Yeah.
didn't do anything to earn that.
Yeah.
Those people did not work to earn the power and respect
It's
they
pretty
have.
shameful.
I don't
honestly.
think that the monarchies like have the status they used to though. Is like I honestly think Queen Elizabeth will be one of the last monarchs that's respected at the level she is because like after she's gone, will modern society really idolize them the way that they have
Yeah.
in the past?
Well, I
I
don't
mean,
get the
I
craze
think
over
they
the
will,
British.
bro. Because
Thank
look
monarchs.
at how many people even here in America that just love the royal family. It's like,
It's
why?
bizarre.
Why?
Like,
It's like
you fought a
the
war.
weddings
to
are-
get rid of you. fucks.
like the wedding their night. That's
Yeah.
it. That's
Yeah.
it. It's like,
Yeah.
they have a big wedding once in a while.
The other
And
problem-
people worship them.
Also,
because they
the
have
thing I
big
hate about the
weddings.
British family too is the royal family is like what you like. They don't like respect you as much if you're an outsider. Like you can't get the same title if you're like not already related to the family.
Yeah, if you're not a multi-billionaire inbred, They treat you like dirt.
The one good thing about the one thing that's
surprise.
The one thing that's slightly better about the Scandinavian royal families is they can marry common people and they'll still be king and queen.
I actually like the Scandinavian.
Yeah.
Okay,
The Swedish and
I've been
Norwegian
bashing
kings-
royal families, but I've noticed like Scandinavian, like those Nordic country
Yeah.
royals, they actually do a great job for their countries. I'd also say the Spanish nobles do a good job.
The Spanish is slightly more because like what the Scandinavians do is they can marry a common person, like the king of Sweden married this like German woman who hosted the Olympics and she became queen.
They're just
But, like,
pragmatic people.
If you do that in the UK, you just become like the prince of something. You still can't become the king.
Yeah.
Because they're like, it's only got to be people like who are related to us. So there's a few other countries like that.
What I will say though is like,
Wait, we don't share any genes. Guess we can't fuck.
Yeah, I mean, you can go down the whole road. Then, like the fact that there's still absolute monarchies, like in Saudi Arabia and shit, and there they have all the fucking power.
Yeah.
that's
Like that's
Yeah,
a whole new fucking.
They have power because they have access to land with natural resources.
Yeah,
No, they
can
commit
show
some of the
What
worst
fucking
human
natural
rights.
resources does Britain have nowadays?
The other thing
They have a little oil. I mean, but they have like
the human rights.
They have all the shit
violations.
they conquered.
The other thing I actually
But they
have
lost
a
a lot
problem
of
with
it,
is,
thankfully.
Saudis' human rights violations are some of the worst in the world.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
They don't even let free, independent journalism enter their country,
No.
dude. I watched a documentary where people snuck cameras into Saudi Arabia and try to get footage. And, like, the living conditions are so much different than what the Saudi royal family would have you
No.
do.
Yeah. The thing. So what's kind of crazy about
I
Saudi?
just don't like royalty.
It's not only Saudi.
Well, Saudi,
No, it's all
UAE,
over
and
the
Qatar
world.
take it to a new level.
Well, no,
the king
I'm-
does everything.
I'm saying like Saudi. I don't know about the UAE too much, but like Saudi, Kuwait, Iraq, Iran.
No, Iraq doesn't and Iran don't have kings though.
They don't have kings, but it's a similar trend in terms of the people who have land with oil rule, and everyone else. Like, there's still people living in like huts. There's still people living in like clay huts.
Yeah.
Like, it's like
no edge.
your land has enough resources and money to create a land that's similar to America, but it never happened.
I actually also like
No, that's
part
true.
of the documentary on Saudi Arabia that was interesting was there was this like textbook that the narrator showed, and it was of a kid who was in a Saudi like public education school, and they taught kids to like abide all ruling procedures set forth by the royal family, and that Sharia law is great, and that all other religions are against the will of God, and like people should be persecuted for it.
Gee.
It was like
Yeah.
like really fucked up to have in
It's
textbooks.
ridiculous. It's
It's
an
actually
absolute.
fucked up.
It's not just an
Bro, that's
absolute.
what Betsy DeVos started
Yeah.
doing to schools here in America. honestly.
literally, dude.
She tried making
Fucked
our
up.
schools here like that.
Yeah.
Fucking psycho.
Bro, in Saudi, it's not just an absolute monarchy, but it's a theocracy as well.
I
It's
read
the
more
worst
into Saudi, and
combination.
it was so sad to see.
No,
like,
it's fucked
and
up.
dude, the worst part is like the U.S. and UK support Saudi in all their endeavors. So it's
Yeah,
like
'cause
we're
we have close
supporting
trade.
Oil.
all these human rights violations by the government,
bro-
just turning a blind eye.
Don't
Yeah.
you like low gas prices?
The thing is, though, the EU actually sanctioned Saudi Arabia
They did,
and
yeah.
wouldn't sell firearms, and actually the UK banned firearm sales to Saudi.
Yeah.
Well,
after
the
the
thing
human
about the
rights
UK is like trains and planes are cheap.
Well,
The thing about America is gas is cheap.
that's the other thing that's
So,
That's the
it's-
other thing that's silly though too.
What's your
violence.
infrastructure?
Not anymore.
People-
Have you been checking the prices lately?
People, yeah, fact.
It's still cheaper than
People-
like 10 years
People
ago.
also look at places like Dubai and like Qatar with like such fucking like starry looks, like everything's so dope here, but like what's the price? Like there's mad human rights violation because they don't have the king, they have the sheikh, which is similar though. They just do whatever
The
they
shaker.
want. Yeah, not shakers. Those are those fucks living in Maine.
The shaker.
The shakers. There's only three of them left because they won't fuck. They're against having sex at all. There's literally they can only convert. And there's three of them
The
left.
Shakers. I wonder why it didn't spread more. Because you can never have sex.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Maybe that's why they didn't spread.
Bro,
Maybe that's why your religion meant nothing.
There's two
Because you
women.
couldn't grow a generation.
There's 2 women and 1 man left. They better think fast, bro.
Dude, I guarantee you one of them is dead. They were like fucking 70, bro. They probably died turning butter.
Yeah, this
bro.
is like what? It's been like a year and a half since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A year and a half ago, there were 2 women and 1 man, and they were the last of what's left of the Shaker religion.
Should we start a death poll, like people who we predict will die?
The Shakers are gone within like 4 years.
Like
I agree.
individuals.
4 years, bro. It's probably down to 1 man and like 1
Honestly,
woman.
that guy better either fuck or
I kind of be
convert.
down
Yeah.
like, between the 3 of us.
And
to
no
start
one's
a
gonna
death
convert
poll.
to that.
Bro, people who are 70 giving birth to children, I don't think that's a very realistic
No.
possibility.
He needs to convert somebody.
Yeah.
No, the Shakers are gone. The Quakers, they might last a bit longer, but
Honestly,
you think the Amish are gonna
Wait,
last the next?
wait, here's my thing
I
with the
think
Shakers.
Quakers and the Amish are actually smart. They live off
They
the
are
land, they preserve food, they preserve resources.
Wait,
Like,
here's the thing about the Shakers.
their
they're
communities
thinking about
thrive.
Isn't their life
What
a
about
sin?
Puritans?
Isn't if you think about the way
I don't like
Shakers,
Puritans.
the way Shakers
I'm a huge
interpret
fan.
the Bible is sex is a sin and should never be done. It's like, wait a minute, if they exist, aren't they sinners to begin with? So should they not exist?
Yeah,
This is
it's,
like
yeah,
a loophole.
yeah.
It's like someone had to
preposterous
fuck for
idea.
you to be here.
it's a preposterous idea.
You know how the Shaker religion came about? There was a guy who thought, how can I make a bunch of money and not get taxed on it? And he got a whole community to buy in. He made a shit ton of money and probably died
Just
being a
the
greedy
community.
fuck.
You probably fucked too. On top of it.
And everyone who followed him, this is where they ended up. 2 men and 2 women in
Hubbard.
2019. That's where they ended up. Because they bought into this one guy who thought, I want some tax-free money. Just like Scientology.
Yeah, it's an absolutely ridiculous idea.
Except Scientology doesn't ban sex, so it can keep growing.
L.
So it
Ron
can
Hubbard.
spread.
You know why? Here's the thing. Joe Rogan mentions this in one of his stand-up shows, and it's actually so true. He's like, all right, a cult is bullshit. Everyone knows that person is bullshit. And a religion, that guy's dead.
yeah, that's pretty true.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Honestly.
Alrighty, so I think we're gonna skip the Reddit for tonight, and we're gonna call it.
Yeah.
We're gonna do the outro.
I think that's been the most personal episode we've had so far.
I think so as well. So
All right, thank you guys for watching. That was Straight No Chaser, episode 26. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and follow our Instagram, straightnochaser.ent. Thank you guys. Tune in for next week for more content.